This is episode 2 of Gaming is in Session, and we're talking about Astro Bot. This is part 2 of Astro Bot. There's a lot of twos here, Alex. We've got episode 2. We've got the second, number 2 part of Astro Bot. You know what also has a second?
What?
It relates into the joke. Why do squirrels swim on their backs?
Because they got to go number 2? I don't, what?
No, they got to keep their nuts dry. Nuts, again, there's 2 of them. You get it? So 2 episodes.
You asked that question so weird. Do you know what else has a second? You should be like, what else comes in twos, Alex? Or something like that. I was so confused.
See, after I said that, I was like, I should have said a joke about time because second, but I didn't. Okay. I wanted the squirrel joke because it's funny. I also hate squirrels. They're in my yard and they're digging up my ish, and I don't like it. But what I do like is Astro Bot. But before we get to that, Alex, give me the greens by Vitalife. Now, this is cold pressed juice, baby, 100% organic. I mean, there's no way. Organic apple juice, mango puree, banana puree, cucumber juice. No way this thing's actually going to be good, right?
No, you pick horrible drinks. They're always like some organic nonsense.
Hey, I'm sorry I don't suck down bourbon and beer after beer. I like to keep trim under this gown, baby.
Under that moo-moo, that black moo-moo.
Moo-moo. I mean, the issue with banana is it overwhelms everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is just a banana drink. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just banana drink.
Does it do anything for your prostate? I know that's important to you.
No, they didn't put jack crap in terms of cranberry in here.
In terms of prostate, yeah.
My prostate is just screaming in pain.
It's on fire. Adam, my gamer juice is Rise Brewing Co. Nitro Cold Brew Coffee, original black. And actually, I gave you flack. This is USDA organic coffee, apparently. The thing is about these, I don't know what it is with nitro and my sensitive stomach. It's going to be a race to the toilet if we don't speed through this podcast, Adam.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. So let's get to it. Let's get to it, Alex. We got, as always, fan shout outs. We love the people, especially with the show just starting. I know we normally have a group of regulars, but it's still good to hear people. Black Talon mentioned, glad I didn't delete you from Apple Podcast. This is actually a point of contention between me and Alex in that I wanted to start a brand new show with a brand new RSS feed because I hate having the older episodes of a completely different podcast there, and then we're just adding a random episode 1. I hate it. I'm still going to try to convince you to get rid of it, Alex. Still use the feed, but let's get rid of the older episodes. But either way, thank you, Black Talon. Glad you didn't delete us too. You don't delete and you gain.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. That's exactly why, because we have people that listen to the Play PS5 podcast, and they might have forgotten to unsubscribe, or they might have.
I'm fine with keeping the feed. That I have no problem with. It's keeping the 31 episodes there. It's a whole new premise. It doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing, guys. Adam has such bad opinions. He's afraid that people might go back, listen to the old episodes, and hear all the nonsense that he's espousing. For one, stand by my words, stand by my convictions.
I think they're going to be like, oh, look, I listened to one podcast. I liked it. Let me go back to episode. Oh, that's the second time they did episode 1, but let's listen. Oh, wait, this is a whole new podcast. What is this? And we look like unprofessional jabronis. In the comments, please let us know who you side with, and maybe you can help me convince this freaking idiot's mind. Second, that guy, Will VR, baby. The amount of times you guys have jumped shows is comedic at this point. You know what, Will? We've had a couple shows shut down. Get off our back, man. It hurts. Great first episode, though. Not fun watching the show. I need to try the new Astro Bot, and we're going to tell you why you need to try the new Astro Bot coming up.
Will, you talk like it's a bad thing we appear on so many shows. You know who else appears on a lot of shows? Ted Danson, and he's doing just fine. We're the Ted Danson of PlayStation or video game oriented podcasts, is what that is. If you don't like it, you could subscribe to the next show that's coming out. That guy is not VR podcast. That's what we'll be doing. If you keep this crap up, Will, show your face or get out of our subs, get out of our comments section. Third one, Adam, Nat Brat. She said, I am furious that this game doesn't even have a VR option. I wouldn't say I'm furious. I would say I'm disappointed. Do I think this game would be better if it were a VR game? Of course. I think all games would be better if it was VR. But I understand the business decision that Team Asobi made with Astro Bot. You have any comment on Nat Brat's furiousness?
Yeah, I will say, after playing the game, I am less mad than I was when I began. And I don't know I guess when it's a quality game, okay, I get it. Let's be honest. If it would be nice if there was at least a piece of it in virtual reality, even if it wasn't the whole game. Can't you give us something? I mean, I don't know if you could say Astro Bot began in VR. I don't know if that's officially correct.
It didn't. No, it was an iToy game on the PlayStation 4 that it started out with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but either way, okay. So, Corporate Zombie mentioned gaming in one session. Not exactly, because if we like it, it's going to be 2 or maybe more. Obviously, a big game, if it's 60 hours long, it's going to take us a while to burn through that. So,
or just it's gaming in one session if we don't like the game.
Exactly.
One session, we're out of here.
Could be. That is why I love this podcast, to help us on the straight and narrow. Let's get into it, Alex. Did the game. We played 2 hours last time, 20% of the game. We felt good. But one of my concerns was, is this going to get repetitive? It's just going to, albeit new levels, the same gameplay, maybe a little bit of changed variety. The bots are different, but essentially you're just collecting bots. Will it get old after 10 to 15 hours? Did it get old, Alex?
Well, I think we should run down. You and I both completed the game. Did you platinum the game?
No. Platinum, too much stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, we did. So I got all of the bots except for the 301st one, because there is a challenge mode that I didn't like the challenge modes. I did most of them except the very end. I'm not going to ruin my opinion of the game because the last challenge mode is so difficult. I did get all of the bots, though. I got all of the outfits. I got all of the PlayStation covers or whatever the heck you call it. So I pretty much got everything but the very last bot. And then a lot of the platinum trophy stuff was like, you have to do specific things in the game to get a trophy. It's not worth that to me. So I did not platinum it.
My. Listeners, viewers, if you see there's a smugness in my face and there's a smugness in my voice. Adam, do you know why I'm so smug?
Because you got the 301st one, and I'm sure you're going to rub it in my face.
Well, it's not just that. It's anybody who's listened to us knows that Adam really rails on me for not beating Astro Bot Rescue Mission on the PSVR. He tells me I didn't finish the game. I'm so bad because I didn't finish the game. How can I say I like the game? Here we are in a podcast where we explicitly need to finish the game if we're going to do a follow-up episode on it. And here Adam has not completed the last challenge mission. Well, I'm happy to report I have finished that last challenge mission. I have completed all of the game, although I will say there are like 4 more bots out there that you have to get, but you can only get them if you find the new added bots in Astro's Playroom. I'm not about to go play another game just so I can finish this game. But I will say I
saw the ending credits. I finished the game.
Okay, when you say I saw the ending credits in near, you still have 2/3 of a game to play. That's not
the true ending credits.
Well, you didn't see the true ending credits. You did the last bot.
Dude, let's move on. We finished the game. Did it get old for you?
It didn't get old for me, but it sounds like it got old for you.
No, it didn't get old for me. So what I will say, and I started to go in this and burn the content before we went live. When I was playing the levels, at points I got where I was like, okay, I'm done for the night. I'm done playing this. I need a break. But then when I finished, I wanted to play the next world because I wanted to collect the bots. I was like, what is the next bot? What is the next theme? What game is that bot going to be from? And it's incredible how something so minor like that fully motivated me to keep playing well beyond kind of what I really wanted to. But that incredibly motivated me. And I was like, this is getting old, but I couldn't stop. So I feel like I can't say it got old because I couldn't stop. And by the end of the game, I was happy. So I don't think it got old for me.
Yeah, it never really got old for me. And to your point, I think they do a really good job with the velocity of progression in this game where you're always moving. You're always moving in this game. There's never a dull moment. There's never a slow point to, and even such that when you finish a level, you can very quickly get back into it. If you die, you very quickly get back to where you were. And I'm not a completionist by any means, but almost every time I finish a level, if I didn't 100% it, first thing I do, go right back. Let's get the things that I missed. Thank God they had that little birdie there. That also motivated you because you could pay 200 coins, get that bird to highlight what the special things were, and you still somehow didn't feel like you missed out on the charm of finding it yourself. Really clever stuff there. But also to your point, like you know that you're going to get at a level and you're not going to be like watching a cutscene. You're not going to be reading a bunch of stuff. You're not going to be like grappling with some weird new mechanic. And none of the levels were something that was like tedious to get through. I guess that's the big thing. Nothing in this game is tedious. And the closest we get to tediousness are those challenge levels that you said you hated. Maybe those are the only things, the shape levels that they're shaped after the PlayStation controller buttons. Those are the only parts of the game where I would play them and shoot. I'd play them like 20 times in a row trying to beat them. But I'd get to a point where it's like, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop trying this because it would just get me frustrated because those levels are almost a full length level, but they don't have any checkpoints. That's what's bothersome. But they're challenge levels. That's why they have that. But yeah, never really got
mad because the rest of the game was so user friendly. I understand they want some challenge somewhere, and
well, that was part of our concern, right? Playing the first 2 hours, we're like, you know, is this going to get challenging, right? Is this going to get hard in some way? How can they make this hard? It's so easy. Well, it does get hard. There's freaking gauntlets you got to run if you want that challenge. So I'm glad they were there.
And they weren't too difficult. I mean, I'm not very good at like challenge games, and I still was able to do them. In the very last one, maybe if I pushed through and I really was dedicated, I could have done it. But it left such a sweet taste in my mouth. I didn't want the very last thing to be tedious and annoying and make me hate-filled and leave that sour taste in my mouth leaving the game. So I was like, I'm going to end it while it's on a high note.
And I get to be smug about it forevermore. Adam, you have here, how motivated were you to collect everything? So you said you got it. I will admit, I haven't bought all the gacha things. I'm at a point now where I have to grind for coins. I don't want to grind for coins to play this game. That would be tedious to me.
So you didn't finish the game. If I didn't finish the game, I did. I grinded for coins.
How many bots did you get? How many bots did you find, Adam? That's funny. I have one more than you.
300, baby. But I've got all the outfits. I've got all the little bot accessories. Anyhow, yeah, I was super motivated. Also, from this point forward, if you're listening, you haven't played the game, this is a game that's going to be like a whole lot of spoilers, right? But you're going to hear some stuff about bosses and our favorite bots and stuff. So, spoiler warning moving forward. Alex, let's hop into it. My favorite part of the game, bar none, was the bots. I love the bots. They're friggin' adorable. I want more of them. I would play a whole entirely new Astro Bot game if there were new bots. Let's break it down. What are our favorite bots? What's your number one? Or no, let's start with number 5.
Number 5? Okay. I like the Dante from Devil May Cry. That bot, he was just nice to find because he's got the coat and stuff like that, and he's got the hair. But then when he was on the crash site, he was juggling one of those puppets with his guns. I thought that was just a nice little scene there, watching him juggle the puppets with his guns. It was just, I don't know, it resonated.
Yeah, mine, I don't want to say I don't like. I've never played Metal Gear Solid. Don't know anything really about Snake, and I don't care much about him. But the bot was pretty adorable. He was in a cardboard box, and he was like, I don't know, looking like he was sniping. And if you go and you hit him when you're in the crash site, he like hides in the box. Something about it I just found really adorable and I liked it. He was in his camo. It was a cool bot. That was my number 5.
Yeah, my number 4 is the Demon Souls bot. So it's really just like a knight in armor, but it looked so much like it was so true to the Demon Souls like box art character. And it really made me wish there was a Demon's Souls Astro Bot level. I wish one of the special levels was like a Demon Souls, the first Castle Boletaria, and Demon Souls. That would be so fun to play through. But alas, we just got to live with the bot. I was happy to see him.
Yeah, I think my number 4 had to be Mr. Mosquito for so many reasons. Number 1, that game is hilarious. Maybe it's a game we'll play one day. 2, of all the games, that was the first bot I found that I was flabbergasted that they chose that game to represent. I was just like, what? And he's tiny. He's adorable. I think it's hilarious. Mr. I don't know how you can even say the word Mr. Mosquito and not smile. Easy number 4 for me.
What? So I never saw him at the crash site. What happens if you punch him?
I know that, me neither. I searched for like 10 straight minutes, and at some point I gave up because I was like, I can't find him.
He's got to be there. He's got to be there somewhere.
I know. Yeah.
I wonder if he helps you out in any of the crash site things where you gotta like lift up platforms and stuff. I wonder if he's doing anything like that. But yeah.
I mean, it must, because one of them asked for all 300.
Yeah.
So, to get to the final challenge level. So he was in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. What's your number 3?
Bloodborne bot. I mean, I like Bloodborne. I like Demon Souls. It looked good. That little Yarnum hunter guy with the little wing caps and the saw blade, the saw sword that he has. Just good looking bot. You get to play in that outfit later if you want to. So yeah, I liked him.
Mine's got to be the soccer bot. And I know you're like, it's not even a game. Why do you like him? Solely because of the interactions that you have with these bots at the crash site are incredible. At first, I didn't think I would care. I just opened the gotcha lab things because I was like, it's something to do. And if I want to 100% the game, I got to do it. But then when you start interacting with them after you open their accessories, it's so enjoyable. And the soccer bot, he's sitting there with a soccer ball and he's dribbling. And if you go and you punch him, he falls down. He fakes an injury like someone in soccer. And then he gets up like nothing happened. And then he starts complaining to a ref for a foul. It's hilarious. I don't remember if I audibly laughed out loud, but if I didn't, I was very, very close. And again, with them being so tiny and adorable, it was hilarious. I freaking loved it. So I think as a number 3, and probably not even that close.
So I don't even like soccer video games. I think if they made like an Astro Ball and it was soccer and you're playing little Astro Bots, wouldn't that be so fun? Like if they keep the same feel. Like you could imagine a soccer game where when you pick your character, you're running around with the same feeling that you run around in Astro's Playroom or Astro Bot the game, and you're just hitting the ball. Almost like a Rocket League, but with Astro. It'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It'd be great. They could keep the same energy up too. You get hit with the ball, they fall down, complain or something like that. It'd be so funny. My number 2, the Eco Bot, that old PlayStation 2 game Eco. I like this one mostly because I had put that game out of my mind for so long. I totally forgot about it. It's one of those flagship PlayStation 2 games that I loved. When I saw it, it was just such a nice surprise. It made me so happy. The little dude running around with the horns. It's great. And then you get like the couch, and I don't know what are you waving your hands for, Adam?
Because it's beautiful. Add it to our backlog. I've never played it.
You never played Eco?
No.
Okay. All right. I don't know how you're going to play it, but yeah, it's PlayStation 2 only. You can get a
emulator.
PlayStation 2. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know if PlayStation 2 emulators are good these days. I'm sure they are. They're probably better now, but they used to not be good.
Yeah, I've got a Steam Deck. I can do everything.
We'll see.
Yeah. Number 2 for me, pretty easy. Number 1 and 2 were like easy. But number 2 is Ghosts and Goblins. 1, I remember playing the game. Obviously, it was way too hard for me as a kid, but I like the game. I love the atmosphere. Everyone knows the famous scene, the opening scene in the NES game where dude's like in his friggin' underwear in a graveyard. You're like, what the heck's happening? So there's a Ghosts and Goblins bot, which is him in his armor. And then when you go, you get the accessory. in the gacha lab. You go and you punch him at the crash site, and he loses his armor and he's in his underwear that I think have like little hearts, and he's just sitting there. Hilarious. I mean, just the way they added originality yet nostalgia and made it like cute and relatable. I've rarely, if I've ever seen a game succeed in that regard as much as this game, and it's so charming. I love it. That easily my number 2 bot.
Do you think it was just somebody's job to think about what each bot would do when they got hit? Or do you think they just have such a passion that each person like had their favorite character that they suggested the team include? And
I think it was a mix. I definitely think some originality went in there from everybody, but then maybe they only got 250, and then it was some person's job to be like, okay, fine, figure out the rest of the bots that we need to fill out, I bet.
Are you disappointed that there were no Square Enix characters? Because I mean, even like Kingdom Hearts was a flagship PlayStation title. Final Fantasy was flagship PlayStation, like starting with what, 7 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
No Square Enix characters, but we got Konami, and we got we didn't get any Capcom either. No, we got Resident Evil. Those are some good ones.
Yeah.
Ghosts and Goblins is Capcom. Yeah.
I didn't think about it until you just said it. Again, it left such a sweet taste in my mouth. I'm not upset, but it is an interesting choice, right? They could have had Cloud. They could have had Sora. They could have, I mean, they could have a litany. They could have had a whole level in just Final Fantasy and done the main characters that everyone loves. That is interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about it.
And something about each one of the bots, I think we said it last time, was like, you see one of the bots and you suddenly remember this game that you forgot about. Like me with Eco. Now that, because they put Eco in Astro Bot, you and I are talking about maybe playing Eco at some point. This kind of stuff is like free advertising, and it's so good and effective because it's like, look at that cute, it could have been, look at that cute little Sora. You know, maybe I should give Kingdom Hearts another chance. Look at that cute little Cloud. Maybe I should play Final Fantasy VII. Because I'll tell you what, I saw the Resident Evil characters and I thought, yeah, I should go back and play Resident Evil again. I saw Dante from Devil May Cry. I should play Devil May Cry again. That's how I felt. It like, it really hits you right in the nostalgia bone, and you're just like, ooh, I should go check that out again. I remember that.
Okay, here's a game or a question. Was there a bot that represented a game that was bad? There were a lot of bots. I don't know what the game even was, but all of the games that I recognized, I don't remember being like, oh, that's from a game, and that game sucked. Can you think of one?
I mean, a lot of these were like Sony flagship games. And there were some Sony flagship games that were like Knack. There was a Knack bot. You remember Knack? He looks like he's made up of like wooden blocks or something like that. That game wasn't like terrible, but it's kind of a meme now because of how like average it is and uninspired it is. Same with like, there's a RPG, like Sony tried to make their own competitor to Final Fantasy called like Legend of Dragoon or something. I think it's got a cult status now, but it's not really a beloved game. And there were some of those guys in there too that people thought was like
okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
I was going to say, because if we run out of a backlog, which I doubt we ever will, we just pick a random bot in Astro Bot, play that game, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, Alex, you and I share a number 1 bot, and everyone listening, especially if you followed us through PlayStation Virtual Reality, it should come to no surprise. Tell the people, Alex.
It's the Res bot. The Arby's roast beef man Res bot. And this is my favorite because I never thought this character. It was such a huge surprise. And it was so late in the game. And I texted you the second it happened. I was like, oh my God, Arby's roast beef man. He's here. What's going on? It might be the only Sega character that appeared that appears in this. It just I couldn't believe it.
I almost crapped my pants. I really did. Yeah. And it was in one of the challenge levels, and it was actually the very last level before I went to the final boss. It just happened by chance that way. Yeah. The challenge levels you don't have to do in a specific order, so it's just whatever one you do it. And I happened to save the best for last, baby. And let me tell you what, when I saw it, so challenge levels, you see the bot that you earn right off the bat, and then an alien takes them to the end of the level, and then you have to like catch up to them and get them. I was never so motivated to finish a level in my entire life. Yeah. And that one was pretty challenging too.
It was rough, yeah.
But oh my, And if you remember, Alex, I told you, I was like, dude, I found my favorite bot. I can't wait for you to get there, finish up the whole, last world. Did you have any idea that it was going to be Rez?
No. I didn't even believe it until I thought I'm surely not remembering. I like surely this is something else, and I'm just thinking it's Rez until you unlock the little gotcha character for it, the little addition for it, and then you go to the crash site and you hit it, and it's doing a little homing missile targeting with the green enemies, and it's like it is Rez. It definitely is Rez. I just couldn't. Oh, it was the greatest, the greatest. It made all of the time spent getting all the bots and everything worth it to finally land on the Rez bot. It was beautiful.
No doubt. I absolutely loved it. And absolutely incredible. Alex, we're gonna just have to move on to our favorite outfits now. You added this. I'm assuming you must have a favorite outfit.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I didn't know they had when we talked about it at the beginning, right? I didn't think they had outfits. And I thought, man, it'd be so great to run around with some of these bots. Well, lo and behold, once you get your second set of puzzles completed, they open a little clothing store and you can unlock those in the gotcha. Yeah, my favorite outfits. I mean, there were some cool ones. Unfortunately, the first one I unlocked was the Cordyceps outfit, which is like the little mushrooms out of the robot's head. It was so
Oh,
disgusting. I couldn't bear to play as that character. But I did get the Yarnum Hunter from Bloodborne. Ran around as that guy a lot. I did get the Eco boy with the horns. That was what I finished the game with. I didn't unlock all of them, so I might grind to get those. But once I got Eco, I was like, yep, that's the one I'm going to play as. That's it. That's the rest of the game for me. It was good. It was real good.
yeah. I played as I think I got a little bear. I had he was all gold. I played
Mm-hmm.
as the all gold one. I played as a pirate. I would
There's an
have
invisible one.
say what?
There's an invisible one.
Oh, I meant no. I mean, I obviously got it, but I didn't
Yeah.
play as that. I didn't realize because in the gacha lab, whenever you get them, you can't try them all on, or I mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to spend a lot of time. So yeah, I didn't realize that. I really wish you could have just straight up played as some of the characters. Like if I could have been the Arby's roast beef man from Rez, that would have been awesome. Or
Yeah.
if now they did have the what was it? Ace Banana or Banana Hannah. What's
Ape
the
Escape.
monkey? Ape
Ape
Escape.
Escape.
They did have an Ape Escape one, so that's kind of cool. So some of them, I guess they kind of did, but none of them I really felt obligated to want to play as. Like some of the characters I straight up would have. If you could have played as a little Mr. Mosquito, I would have lost my freaking mind, dude. It
Oh yeah.
would have been so funny. But still, again, it is such an endearing way to make the game so lovable and fun to play, and something so small wildly change the optics of the game and make it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam, did you have any favorite? So this is my favorite part of the game was the bosses, the mini bosses, these fights. Did you have any favorite bosses? Anything like that?
So my favorite boss was the Mecha Chameleon because that was where you could go slow mo, and I thought it was pretty creative. You dodge them, and you have to go slow mo at the right times to don't not get hit, and then his tongue comes out, and you have to run up his tongue, and then bang on his uvula or whatever the heck that thing is called. I just thought that was kind of funny. It was pretty creative. It was a fun boss. My second one was Wako Taco he was the big octopus. You've got those gloves on, the boxing gloves. And I mean, it was a pretty easy boss, but he was cool. Then I liked the gorilla. He was kind of from even the Astra's, rescue mission game.
Yeah.
And you dodge buildings and such. And I don't know, it was action packed. It was a good first boss. Then the spider, I didn't love. It was okay. The one I hated the most was Falcon McFly. I know it probably shouldn't have been as hard, but the stupid iron ball skill is stupid. And then it just wasn't a fun boss. I don't know. So that was my least favorite.
Yeah, I think those are the major bosses. I think oddly enough, I think my favorite was the Falcon McFly. The
Really?
iron the iron ball, and this might be entirely due to the haptics of the controller, But whenever I turned into that ball and I got launched like a cannonball into something, it felt so good and felt so powerful. Like when you turn into the ball and you roll around, you feel it in the controller so viscerally that I loved anytime I could jump somewhere and it would launch me into the character and you really feel that impact hitting them. So that was the one that I remember playing and thinking like, this is a really good boss fight. I'm really having a good time playing this boss fight. But none of those stood out to me as much as like the mini bosses. Like in particular, I put here that boss where you're fighting like the stack of eggs, like the chicken eggs or something like that, and
Yeah, yeah.
you have that like elephant sack that like sucks up stuff and then it'll spit it out as a platform you can land on. But in this one, you're like using those platforms to get on top of the egg and then suck the yolk out of the egg, which is
Yeah.
like extremely violent when you think about it, because you're like sucking the life out of the egg and it kills the egg. And those are like not robots either. So it was a pretty morbid boss fight, but I just remember the whole time it just again, the dual sense or something just made like the whole process feel really good. Um, and then for some reason, I really liked there was a pirate boss fight in like the second to last world. I really liked how it was almost like Shadow of the Colossus, where you're like climbing up all around him. And then I love the finisher because I guess the mini bosses, you're not really like hitting them 3 times, right? So you're climbing up all around this pirate to get to the top of his head, and then you like rip his head off, which again, it's kind of morbid, right? The game's really cutesy, but then when you think about it, like you're killing all these animals or monsters or something like that, and it's for as cutesy as it is, the stuff that you're doing to like kill these bad
You're thinking
guys.
way too much. Easily the best boss was the snowman. If you're talking mini bosses now.
What did you do for the snowman? I forgot.
The snowman, you essentially got on his head and melted him. And he kept getting smaller and
Oh
smaller.
yeah, yeah. But
I
then he
mean
was
that
alive in the end, and it was like, oh, we're all happy.
oh well I yeah, I you're just weird in how you're thinking these are real life, animals and stuff. But whatever, Alex. You're right. The mini bosses were even engaging, though. I mean, I
Yeah.
was thinking when we talk about bosses, like actual bosses, but mini bosses, yeah, like just the whole game, so charming,
How
so
how
creative.
about this? We can be quick with this because I didn't include it on the script here. Did you have a favorite power up? We got like the chicken backpack that's like a rocket forward. There's the dog one that launches you forward. The chicken
Yep.
goes up, dog launches you forward. You got the boxing gloves. You got the little elephant thing that will suck things up and spit out platforms. I'm probably missing some. Was there
Yeah, you
anyone that was
got
a
the
favorite?
slow mo. You got the slow mo.
Oh, the VR headset that makes you slow mo. That one was way cooler than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that was really
You
cool.
also have the one where you blow up into like a balloon.
I hated that one.
Yeah, me too. That one
It was,
sucked
it
egg.
was unwieldy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's gotta be the boxing gloves. When I
Yeah.
had the boxing gloves, I truly felt like I was invincible. And
Yeah.
I had more leeway in terms of I didn't have to be perfect because I'm powerful. They extended and they felt good when you pulled the triggers, like the little
Yeah.
bit of haptic feedback. They they were like kind of cool because they were little gators and then they launched their tongues out. Like it was fun, it was useful. Best power up.
Yeah. That was my favorite, obviously. I was surprised that I liked the chicken rocket and then like that dog rocket too, just because the enemies you fought using those, it always felt good to destroy them. Like I loved launching up and killing those little UFO guys with the guitars. And I
Oh yeah.
loved the bell guys that would like that's the only way you could kill the bell guys was launching as a dog right into it and it would kill them and it felt so good. Um, moving on, Adam, so what I loved about Astro Bot on VR was the soundtrack. I actually bought the soundtrack because I loved listening to it. I thought it was so good. Did you have any did the music stand out to you at all in this game?
I mean, there were some moments where I was like, the music's good. It's a
Yeah.
different type of music, right? So I do think the music's good, but it's not music I would listen to. I listen to Nier Automata. I listen to Final Fantasy. I listen to Kingdom Hearts, and those are music pieces I want to listen to while I'm studying or working or on my free time. I don't. That's not the same music here in Astrobot, but I think it wasn't that good, but it was still good. It fit the game. It fit the world. It was fun in its universe. I think it was very fitting, and it complemented the game and the themes really well.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like each level had good music for the level. I think it was a bit forgettable. Like nothing was as good as like the GPU song in Astro's Playroom, right? That was so good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there was one song. There's that level where there's the tree, and you like fill him up with water, and he sprouts, and then he starts singing, and he's singing about like you got to go in my mouth, come up in my mouth, jump into my mouth, and it was so funny and so good. And the whole time you're running around, he's just singing about you jumping in his mouth. It's so good. I loved that. I
See
love
what
that.
sucks, and like, and that's the thing about music sometimes that is just sad. Obviously, I played that level. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice him saying "get in my mouth."
He's
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
But
it's going real fast, but like the second you sprout that, like you spray the water on the seed and it turns into the tree, he's just bouncing around saying like, "Go ahead, run in my mouth. You got to run, jump in my mouth. You got to jump in my mouth." It's so good. But that was
like,
the
yeah,
only.
it's hilarious, dude. That GPU song was that the one that was like
Oh
GPU,
yeah,
and
and you can find the lyrics. It's a good song. Nothing was as memorable as that, except for maybe the "Jump in My Mouth" song. But I don't even remember the actual beat of that song. I just remember how funny it was.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but Adam, I think we can kind of go over our overall thoughts here, and I got a couple questions for you at the end.
I mean, personally, I will say thoroughly enjoyed the experience. The end, I was really shocked. And again, if you haven't finished it, big spoilers here. I'm not gonna lie, Alex. I thought it was going to be it's a cutesy little end. You go, you defeat the guy, and then he grabs Astro and takes him into I don't know, the black hole. At first, I think they tried to play up like, oh, it's sad, Astro died, or he's gone. But to me, I was like, okay, they just set it up for a sequel. And I thought that's how they were going to end it. And I was like, okay, whatever, a little lame. At least we know we're getting another Astro Bot. And now the other Astro's goal is to go save the real Astro Bot. They're going to go save him. Then that didn't happen. Astro gets spit out, but he's freaking wrecked. And then I was like, okay. But then I just thought he was going to, through his willpower, be like, oh, I love the world, I'm better or something. But that didn't happen. But what happened was something that tugged on your heartstrings, made me feel something, which is the exact mark of a Game of the Year candidate, of a exceptional game, not just a good game, an exceptional game where you still used the robot arms like you put the ship together, and then other little bots sacrificed or gave pieces and you put Astro back together like you did the ship, and then he came to life. Blew my mind. Couldn't believe they had the creativity and the gumption to kind of go there and be that creative with the ending. I was floored, loved it. I mean, holy crap, man. I don't what did you think about that? Did you see it? Did you see it coming, or did it relate to you as much as it did me?
So I didn't see it coming. I do agree that was a really good ending of the game. The thing that bothers me about it is that is my least favorite part of the game is when you had those two robot arms. Like every time you get a piece of the PS5, you have to use these robot arms and like fix it and put it together and stuff. It's like the dual sense moving is not like accurate enough. If your controller's in the wrong position when that starts, then you're like doing awkward twists and turns and gyrations just to try to get things to go. It just wasn't a very fun game play element for me for something so pivotal, especially where like if that was in VR and I was like holding Astro in one hand and using my other hand to like squeeze stuff, like that would have been so affecting, right? That would have been so visceral with the dual sense and everything like that, or with the sense controllers. What you described is great. The execution left a lot to be desired, I thought, just because the dual sense controller itself is not really great at that like three-dimensional translation motion, in my opinion.
I didn't think that was a problem at all. That
It
wasn't
just
like
disconnected me
super.
from what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like super engaging, no, I guess, but like it felt just more like you had to push the buttons, right? But
But
still,
when I'm doing this thing that's supposed to feel meaningful, but I'm getting frustrated and annoyed by the controls, it's replacing this like emotional response that they're wanting me to have with like frustrations getting interjected in there, and that's why it's not as an affecting scene for me.
you have problems, okay? We play, and you have a track record. You play these games that at times can be extremely I don't know, for lack of a better word, emotional. And it's like a defense mechanism for you to override that and protect yourself with something that you make as an excuse. Oh, Kingdom Hearts wasn't good because the bosses were just so frustrating. I couldn't get into the story.
No,
Oh,
Kingdom Hearts wasn't good because I'm not allowed to talk about Kingdom Hearts. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you can't. The end of the game was maybe a good idea, but I didn't feel it because I had to move the sense controller 30-degree angle. Oh, I didn't like it. Dude, forget that. If you didn't feel something when you're putting Lil Astro together and the first time his eyes came up, you're dead inside. But yet you can play a game where you go in outer space and you're freaking wrecked for a month. I don't understand you.
Yeah, I think I just have a higher bar to be
Bullcrap.
to go through. Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess my overall thoughts, and the game is pure fun to play from beginning to end, right? Like there's not a point that's frustrating except for those little elements I talked about, but really it's like novelty sections that take up like maybe 0.5% of the overall game. So I can't really knock it for that. Um, I think the story was enjoyable. There's not like a deep lore there, but it's enough to keep you motivated. You know, they perfectly balanced everything, right? There's challenging stuff if you want it. The game's overall pretty easy if you want it. It's really forgiving. It's expedient, so you're never frustrated. You're always motivated to keep moving forward. The economy of the game, right? The rate at which you find bots always feels good. The rate at which you find puzzle pieces always feels good. And every one of those has an appropriate reward for how difficult it is to find it to motivate you to want to keep doing it. Even the coins, right? The coins, you get them gradually just by happenstance, and you get just enough to where you feel motivated to grab every coin you can when you see it. You're never running past coins thinking like, coins don't mean anything, like you would in a Mario game. So it's perfectly balanced economy. So much great stuff in the game. So I thoroughly enjoyed the time spent with it. I think mine clocked in at about 15 hours. Do you know how long you spent in the game?
It had to be close to that. I forgot to take a final look actually. Um, yeah, but I totally agree with you. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The last question regarding kind of the same topic. All right, Alex. I personally mentioned I had concerns that this would be game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Or even like a really strong contender. They changed my opinion. After that ending, that to me is what leaves a lasting impression and again separates exceptional games, game of the year candidates to just like good games or great games. So everything that we've talked about, I changed my tune. I do think it's definitely a contender. Now, I still have some struggles with again, I didn't play Bloodborne, right? So I don't know, but I'm thinking of Bloodborne being something like a Resident or a Final Fantasy 16, some super graphically in-depth combat is on the next level. Like I still struggle being like this cutesy Astro Bot game is better than a Bloodborne. Now, I can't say it for real because I haven't played Bloodborne, but would I rather play Final Fantasy 16 over Astro Bot? 100%. Would I rather play something like Nier or even Kingdom Hearts? I would. Just because I feel like that it maybe not is as much as a quote unquote fun game, but it's a better game.
Yeah.
That's a personal opinion. You talk to a 15-year-old, yeah, they're probably not going to be into the politics of some of the deeper lore and plot-based games, and they love Astro Bot. But for me, it's definitely a contender. And maybe given the contenders this year, really Bloodborne's the only one, in my opinion, that could battle it. I don't think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was that good. So it's really between Bloodborne and Astro Bot. I guess I can't make the call because I haven't played Bloodborne.
Well, I will say Bloodborne is not a game that came out this year. You're probably thinking of like Elden Ring.
What? Oh, is it? Well, there's one that came out this year that was like the huge, like the front runner. What was it?
Might have been Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, the DLC for it, which is basically a whole new game.
You talk about your thoughts on game of the like if it's a finalist, and then I'll do some research. Yeah, Elden Ring, Shadow of yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Elden Ring, my apologies. Elden
Very
Ring
similar to
rather than
Bloodborne, yeah.
Bloodborne for what I just
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
I think when we last episode, I was thinking, maybe this could be a game of the year. Like maybe I would think this is a game of the year at the end. I was skeptical, but I was leaning towards like I could see that happening. After playing the game and getting some distance between the end of the game and now, I think I land with you that I'd be happy with it as a nominee. I don't think I'd be happy with it as like a winner of game of the year. It's weird because the game, for all intents and purposes, the game is perfect, right? There's not a thing that I would change really in the game. And I enjoyed every second of playing it for the most part. I even like what it might potentially do for the gaming industry, right? And this year, where you have games like Concord that come out, $400 million games that get canceled immediately, and you have all these free-to-play games, and you have all these games that are trying to monetize you every other month. You have this game coming out at $40 or whatever, $60, whatever it came out at, and it's just a condensed, tight, perfect, enjoyable experience. I would love it if more developers went to that style of game and delivered more games like this. So in that sense, if this is a game of the year, I'm happy for that. If it motivates the industry to move more towards making games like this that are tight, well-designed experiences that are fun all the way through. That being said, kind of forgettable. There's nothing in the game that stands out to me in the way some of these classic all-timer games stand out for me. And it's almost ironic in that a game that's almost entirely motivated by nostalgia and what you remember is a game that's ultimately pretty forgettable in the long run. Like I was struggling before we started talking to think of like what bosses were there, what power-ups were there, what levels were there. Maybe it's because I go through them so fast and I don't have much frustration tied to them, but there's just something about it. It's almost like eating a delicious candy as much as you want. And you're not getting sick from eating it, but it's just in the end, all you had was candy, and you're really just looking for like a hearty meal at the end of the day. So again, I think it'd be a strong nominee. I don't know if I would ever be happy with it as a game of the year compared to other games that have come out this year that I've played.
Yeah. It is interesting that analogy you mentioned about candy. Yeah, it's like I don't remember the Skittles I ate a month ago or 2 weeks ago, right? But I do remember that chocolate cake that I ordered in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was big, and it was like I remember that. That's something similar. Like I remember I'm sorry, I know I don't play too many outside games other than like Final Fantasy and VR. So I just have to, that's all I have to go in. But I remember those like boss fights. Whereas you're right, here I had to like work to kind of remember them. And some of the like worlds and stuff I had to like look up. But maybe it's just because, it was so condensed. Like, I don't know. But I think I do agree with you. Helldivers 2 or Astro Bot?
Helldivers 2. I mean, really for me, right now, the game of the year suite is Armored Core 6, Helldivers 2, and Astro Bot. And I think ultimately for me, it's Helldivers 2 versus Armored Core 6 as to what would be my game of the year this year. I think both of those beat Astro Bot in my estimation, but it's a really objective thing. Subjective. It's based on your opinion, right?
Yeah,
your mileage may vary.
Subjective. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Other questions?
Is it worth? Can we recommend to play it all the way through now that we finished it? Any way you would say, in this case, you should not finish it?
I think it was definitely worth playing all the way through. I mean, towards the end, you start to feel like, I've seen everything there is to see in this game, but it ends like right at that moment, right? It doesn't overstay its welcome, which is great. And considering like that it's sheer joy all the way through. If you've played 10 minutes of it and you had fun, guess what? You got 15 hours of that fun ahead of you, and you're never going to stop liking it. So I'm happy playing all the way through it. I mean, it's $60. That's steep, but it is one of the best gaming experiences I've had this year. I just don't think it's the best.
And buy it physical and then sell it as soon as you play it. I played it for $20. So.
And my last question for you, Adam, would you ever come back to Astro Bot now that you've like basically beaten all of it, except, I mean, you haven't beaten all of it, but you've almost beaten the game. Would you ever come back? Do you ever find yourself thinking, I'm going to come back and play Astro Bot?
I really don't believe I will. Maybe way, way, way in the future when it's free and it's on PlayStation Plus and I have a lull and I don't have anything to play. But it's not necessarily saying it's that game. Part of it's me. a game really has to wow me for me to replay it. And there are games like that. Kingdom Hearts, played the whole series through at least twice, maybe 3 times. Near Automata, Near Replicant. I finished those. But it's a very specific game that I want to replay. And it's one of those, not a game like this. So I don't think it's necessarily an Astro Bot problem, rather just, like, it's not something I really want to play. And I experienced it. I enjoyed it. I got the most out of it that I could. No reason to go back. But how about you?
Yeah, once we started playing it, they announced they have free DLC coming out. But it's not going to be new levels. It's going to be like time challenges and stuff, maybe some new bots to find and things like that. And I thought, yeah, I could totally see myself coming back. Now that I finished the game, I really don't see myself, even with the DLC coming out, wanting to come back. If the DLCs came out, they're like, guess what? There's a whole new world that has like 10 new levels. Then maybe. But that's still just a maybe. I do think if they release like a boss rush mode, that would be a fun challenge. Like try to go through all of the main 5 bosses with just like, 3 hits. That would be a fun challenge. But even still, that's a bit of a maybe for me. There's nothing in the game that's really pulling me back. And I was happy to play through it. I was also happy to finish it and be like, and I'm done. So yeah, tough call there. I think probably no. I'm not really looking forward to come back. That's not to say it's a bad game. Again, I'd be happy anybody gives it a 10 out of 10. It's just not like the best thing ever, which I think is kind of expected from a lot of people.
Yeah, for me, it would have to be additional bots.
Yeah.
Last question before we wrap it up, Alex. Where do you think they can go from here? Do you want to see another Astro Bot game? What would you like to see different? How long do you think it needs to be? Heck, I'm even wondering, so much of the success is the nostalgia for some of these other games and the little cameos they make. At some point, how many games do they have that they can pull from before they start reusing again, right? Now, I know if they're going to dive into the Mr. Mosquitoes and the Reses, maybe they have more to pull from than I think, but they use 250 game characters, right, in this.
Yeah.
And so, or something close to that. So how many games can they really do that for? That's what I wonder. And if you took that aspect from the game, for me, that would really lower its charm and the motivation to play for myself. So what do you think about the future of Astro Bot?
That's a good question, Adam. Congratulations on a really good question. No, I think if there was just an Astro Bot 2, would I play it? Probably. Would I pay $60 and play it right away? Probably not, unless we were doing it for like the podcast or something. What I think they would need to do to make me excited about an Astro Bot 2 that was like this game would be make a multiplayer one, right? They kind of did this with Little Big Planet, Sackboy's Adventure, right? You can play co-op. If they made a game like this where it could be you and me playing through a level together, and maybe you can pick like the God of War character to go through with and you have the axe, or you can pick the Ape Escape character, you go through, you have the net and it does something. That would make it a lot better. But just playing through a game like this with new levels, new worlds, but you can play co-op. That would be a new experience that I would look forward to, and maybe add some co-op mini games and stuff, so just to really leverage that ability of it. But just another game like this, Astro Bot 2, I'm not super interested in. Where I do think they need to go, and we've said it a bunch of times, is Astro Kart, Astro Ball. Iterate on this, right? This could be like their Smash Brothers, right? You have all these different Astro Bot versions of these Sony characters, and you have a Smash Brothers type game. I don't like Smash Brothers. You make an Astro Bot version though, with the expertise that Team Asobi has and making games feel good, I'd be all aboard. So it feels like there is places they can go with this. But if they just do this again, which we've now seen twice, Astro's Playroom and this, I'm not super interested. A VR version, now you got me hankering again. I'd love to see what they would do with the VR too. I feel like it's not going to happen, but I don't know. Sony, throw them a couple mil. I'm sure they could do it. I'm sure they'd sell some headsets doing it. So that's all I'd be looking for moving forward, I think. How about you? What do you want on an Astro Bot 2, if you even want one?
Yeah, I think even back in VR, we were like, this could be not necessarily the Mario killer. No one's ever getting rid of Nintendo or Mario, right? But this could be really Mario's only other like rival. To date, since he existed. I don't think, maybe there's been little guys come up and maybe try to challenge, but Sonic was probably the only one that even remotely came close. This is something I think that could come close because it has the cute factor. It has the factor that you can play it regardless of family. You mentioned your family, you played it a little bit, and like your kids were like, oh, this is fun. They're not going to do that with the other Sony big hitters, right? They're not going to play Resident Evil 4 and be like, wow, they're too young. This appeals to everybody. You're right. They can have the spin-offs. I would love to see a game like this that would even have some maybe RPG elements or deeper gameplay elements, like I mentioned. Okay, I unlock the Res Arby's beef roast beef guy or whatever. And now he has a specific power. So in that level, I could choose to play as him and gain his ability. And then rather than the ability being given to you, you have to choose it. You make the wrong choice, well, okay, you're screwed. You need to go back and change it up, like add a little bit of a puzzle type thing to it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would even need to drastically change it, but so I think there's a lot of potential. I hope they stick with it. What I hate is, yeah, they come out, they have a success, and then they don't do anything with it for years, and they seemingly don't care. When I'm like, you have everything there that you need to compete and make like a dent in the gaming industry. But Alex, I think we have come to a conclusion on Astro Bot. You, the listeners, need to play the game. You need to finish the game. We need to move on, Alex. We have the next episode. We've got a backlog. Talk to us. What are we diving into and what's in our backlog? And maybe the listeners can also help us add to our backlog.
Yeah, certainly. So we do have 2 games lined up that we're going to be discussing next. The next one is, just coming out, Plucky Squire, the Plucky Squire. And the only way I got Adam to play it was free on PS Plus. But that will be the next game on our agenda.
Crap.
And then after that, shout out to that guy as Will. He recommended, I wholeheartedly agree, the Silent Hill 2 remake, one of my favorite games of all time, Silent Hill 2. The remake is going to be potentially controversial with Team Bloober Team, or with Team Bloober, something like that, making it. But I'm looking forward to trying it out. So that'll be up next.
I've never played Silent Hill. I know nothing about it. I know it's scary. That's all I know. So good choice, Will. I think it'll be interesting. I've never been scared in a flat game. So let's see. Let's check it out. I'm excited. October 8th.
Yeah. I think we got to start the pre-order so we can get it when it comes out. But yeah, that's it for Gaming is in Session, episode 2, our Astro Bot finale coverage. We are now on podcast platforms, guys. So if you've listened to the last episode, check us out. Look at your Play PS5 feed. You probably see Gaming is in Session in there now. Check us out on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Spotify. If there's a podcast thing that you want us to appear on, let us know. We just need to know. I don't even know what some of these are. I just need you to tell us. We'll put us there. And of course, go on iTunes, rate us, let us know how we're doing. Email us, contact@playpsvr.com. Of course, go on YouTube, get your family, watch this around the dinner table. Watch this, leave us a comment, give us some likes, subscribe, just so we know you're out there listening, people. And tell us what you think about Astro Bot. Tell us about how shameful it is that Adam did not beat Astro Bot after complaining about me not beating Astro's rescue mission. But of course, visit us on YouTube. Gaming is in Session if you're not there already, and send me your suggestions for the next games that we're going to be playing after Silent Hill. But yeah, any last words, Adam?
Listen, regarding Astro Bot, if you don't like it, tell it to the judges.